afternoon from Athens. I would like to brief you that the COVID-19 cases are quite high among the refugees and migrants due to the fact that they live together in large numbers. Of course, the Greek healthcare system is providing care without any discrimination, the way we do with Greek citizens as well. Greece, as a country, the borders of which are borders of the EU as well, in recent years has been under great pressure by migrant and refugee flows. In February, we were up against an organized invasion of thousands of migrants in our land borders with Turkey. This operation, as it has been proven, was directed by the official Turkish authorities. Our robust stance, however, discouraged the instigators of this invasion, and the operation was discontinued. Nevertheless, on the islands of the Eastern Aegean, we still have thousands of migrants and refugees, and Greece is basically called upon to carry an unbearable burden when people, for different reasons, leave their homelands and try to find the European promised land, but end up trapped, in fact, in Greece. Unfortunately, recently, we had the fire in the camp of Moria in Lesbos, instigated by a group of Afghans, and Greece very shortly created a new temporary camp with decent conditions. However, managing the problem requires the tangible solidarity of the EU. It is a positive thing that we had the announcement of a special task force on the camp in Lesbos. However, we need a more cohesive migration policy, a more daring one than the proposal made by the European Commission, with a fairer allocation of burden among the member states and with a common policy of returns vis-à-vis the countries of origin. Thank you. Right-wing extremism is something very difficult, and it's not enough to take police measures. We need to coordinate between the states to identify the networks that are created between the various organizations. At the same time, we need to tackle the root causes that lead to the integration into extremist organizations, the social disparities, the rise of unemployment, the management of the migration issue. Greece has dealt during the financial crisis the rise of the right-wing movement that was expressed with the through the Golden Dawn. We saw many instances of violent of aggression, and they culminated in the assassination of Pavlos Fyssas by a member of Golden Dawn. The central right government of Mr. Samaras responded with determination, and the members of that organization were prosecuted, and we are expecting the decision of the court on the 7th of October. Unfortunately, in Greece, we have seen flourishing for decades now left-wing extremism, dozens of assassinations, and one of the most famous, infamous organizations is November 17, members of which are today in prison. And we also see the threat of the important terrorism that comes from conflict zones and creates networks within Europe. So we ought to reinforce intelligence sharing between the member states and to focus on intelligence sharing with the countries of origin of the terrorists, countries such as Turkey or Libya. So what are you willing to do in this direction? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, as I said, I did announce Jacques Bigot.
About the events in Evros last February, when Turkey, violating the Turkey-EU joint statement, illegally sent tens of thousands of hapless people to the land border with Greece. There are compelling evidence that show that Turkey has become an official facilitator of migrants in order to exert pressure on Greece and the EU. They are using migrants and refugees as pawns in a geopolitical game. Allow me also to remind you that the entire leadership of the EU visited Evros in March in order to see with their own eyes what the situation is like. As regards Brexit, I would like to welcome the fact that in the future we will be cooperating with the United Kingdom in judicial matters. I think we should focus on fake news, on the pandemic, on misinformation and manipulation of people, but also on cyber attacks and other malicious interventions. I think that liaison officers has to be strengthened, and especially the cooperation with third countries, Iraq, Iran, and Turkey, which are places where we have human trafficking, drug trafficking, arms trafficking, and terrorism. Especially, we should put emphasis on Turkey because they have a different definition for Turkey, and they use this definition in order to arrest and put in prison thousands of dissidents, people that the Erdogan regime does not like. For instance, the leader of the third party HDP, Selahattin Demirtas. So I would like to hear your views on that, because an agreement with Europol is important on that.
Efaristos. Now we hear from